Virginia International Raceway, or VIR as it's known. Beautiful racetrack in North America, sometimes known as the USA's Nürburgring. It's a great challenge in great surroundings with many famous corners, and it plays host to round 7 of the ChampCar iRacing series. We enter the second half of the championship, and it's a hot one with a 1-hour race with one pit stop ahead of us in the Toyota GR86. We're looking forward to seeing the championship continue to unfold and play out in the ChampCar iRacing series. To bring you live coverage here, I'm David Haynes with Devin Peters. Michael Derby is in our production. Devin, there is a lot at stake, but also good times to be had here in the ChampCar iRacing series.
Yeah, I think VIR, with its history as the 24-hour big race of the ChampCar series, it's kind of like the spiritual home of the series out here. And the driver count here tonight certainly shows that we've got 35, maybe even 36 drivers getting ready to take the grid for us tonight, and they are going to put a big show on for us tonight. And they're racing hard because they're racing for the championship prizes that we've got on offer. And you can see them on the screen there. The season champion is going to go home with 2,000 champ bucks that can be put towards the ChampCar iRacing series. And just for showing up, if you're not one of the fastest guys in the field, you can earn 250 champ bucks for showing up to 4 races in a row. We also have our enduro season that'll be starting later in the year. So if you're enjoying the action, or if you just want to get started, you can grab a couple buddies and come and join our endurance championship and race for 150 champ bucks a race. More details about that will be in the forum, Haynes.
Yep, exactly. For a total value that we are giving away this season of $3,750 US. So it's a great way to practice the racetracks of the ChampCar Endurance Series. It's a great way to make some friends, get to know some of your fellow competitors, and also win some prizes that can make it a little bit easier to get on track in the ChampCar Endurance Series, or just get you closer to real wheel-to-wheel endurance racing in North America. A little bit of qualifying underway right now before the 1-hour race begins to be a rolling start. And these GR86s, they're super grippy because they've got a little bit of extra downforce, a little bit of extra hood venting. They're on slick tires, but they're not that much more powerful than a road-going GR86.
Well, and it makes sense that on International Hot Dog Day, we've got Tim Wire in the Salins car leading the pack in our qualifying session here. So here's hoping that good luck sticks for him.
Well, in a couple of weeks, I'll be meeting my friend who finished 3rd in the Nathan's famous Coney Island July 4th hot dog eating competition. So I'll ask him what his favourite dog is, and he might not say Salins, but if he was a smarter man, he would. So it's a great schedule for us in 2026. You can see that we're here at round 7 at VIR with lots of great tracks still to come. Biased, the greatest of them all, Mount Panorama, Bathurst, and then ahead of ChampCar Endurance Series visit Mid-Ohio, the Adelaide Street Circuit, Road America, and Circuit of the Americas, September 23rd. Really packed calendar between now and the end of September to decide our champion, and then 4 team endurance events of 3 hours after that. We've been to so many great tracks already: Watkins Glen, Sebring, Lime Rock Park, Road Atlanta, and Daytona. So this continues our great tradition of a visit in July to VIR.
David Haynes, I've heard some people say that Mount Panorama is like the Nürburgring of Australia.
I'd say it's the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps of the New South Wales Regional West.
No, sir, it should be a good show, though. And we'll be bringing these GR86s back. Of course, 3 different cars raced in the championship. Got the Mazda MX-5s, the GR86, and the whole TCR class making an appearance. And we're still following the Salins car, but Got some hot competition. It's just couple hundredths ahead of Michael Polisek. He is, who's in second, and then Alex Harrison, Ryan Puckdell, and Andrew Huggins rounding out the top 10. And I don't think Harrison or Huggins are even Wire Harrison or Huggins are in the top 10 in points right now. So we've got some ringers out here tonight. Should be a good show for us.
Absolutely. And this is a circuit that drivers love. It's beautiful surroundings here with the forests. We're just south of the river that I'll defer to my Virginia local to tell me if it's the Danville River there. But you've got this long back straight, long front straight, but some such picturesque corners like the climbing S's through Oak Tree Corner. The Dan River. Okay, fantastic. And here at the roller coaster, very aptly named, a whole bunch of elevation change right from the crest of the corner there, dropping all the way down through Hog Pen at the end of the lap here. You've got a hairpin for turn 1 that presents a great overtaking opportunity. And all around just beautiful surrounds.
Michael Polisek must have heard me talking trash, because that's a quick one. 2:04.39. That's good enough to put him on the pole. And we'll see if he continues his hot streak. He's been on a bit of a roll here since coming back to the series.
Been on a bit of a roll since he won Sunday at Watkins Glen International for the ChampCar Endurance Series. So he's
True.
A man fully engulfed in the racing this year. And he's up top at the moment. As you said, from Tim Wire and Alex Harrison. Then you said Andrew Huggins sneaking up the order there. David Martin and Lee Martin, not related, are 9th and 10th as the checkered flag is waving. Drivers crossing the line now are finishing their qualifying. There's one last opportunity for Michael Polisek to go faster. Not sure he needs to, though.
There'll be a couple people hoping they can find a little bit. Ryan Puckdell's leading the points right now, but he'll have his shot down the back straight this time. See if he can find his way up that leaderboard a little closer to the front.
This is a car that's relatively slipstream dependent as well. Like we said, not much more horsepower than a road-going GR86, but a lot more grip and aerodynamics. So on Madison Avenue, on the back straight there, past the South Paddock pits, and on the front straight here, if you can be up behind someone, you can find yourself a couple of tenths of a second for sure. So Michael Polisek does not improve, and many other drivers have taken the checkered flag. It is blisteringly hot, which probably prevents your motor and tyres from going much quicker lap on lap on lap, as they'll overheat and go past their best very quickly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what folks are doing once we get to the race with a little bit of strategy tonight.
Through the S's, past the Villas.
Say checkered flag's out on the qualifying session, so last shot for everyone here.
It's Lee Martin. Probably had to race home from work on the West Coast to be racing with us tonight. And he has already taken the checkered flag in this session. I think everyone has. But he's still rolling around waiting for the session clock to expire, which it will do in 10 seconds. Then everyone forms up behind the pace car on pit road, and we get a full formation lap of Virginia International Raceway, and a review of what the weather is doing session to session, because we expect the track might begin to cool off a little bit into the afternoon, but remains very, very hot. You're a dog owner. You simply wouldn't walk your dog on this racetrack.
Yeah, not one bit. And my wimpy little Shih Tzus wouldn't even come outside onto the pavement if it was this hot.
air conditioning for your dogs. Yeah, it's hot out there, but we are going to get to the grid and the championship points. 60 minutes of racing ahead of us. A pit stop required for all.
Yep, we've got one of those pit stops baked in, and always gives us a little bit of an interesting variance around a lap as long as this one. Do occasionally see people deciding to get out of the traffic early. Other times deciding to stay as late as possible and save as much fuel as possible. So we'll have to see which way fortune favors today.
Yeah, these cars have a gigantic fuel cell fitted, but everyone is starting with just 6 gallons on board, so they can pit just about whenever they please, but they are going to have to pit at some point to take more on. Pole position goes to Michael Polasek over 0.3 of a second against Tim Wire. Alex Harrison in third. Super close in this part of the pack, just 0.1 of a second to separate multiple drivers from the podium positions. Jared Collins in fourth, Ryan Pucktel in fifth, Andrew Huggins in sixth, Ian Giebler in seventh, Ryan Carwile eighth on the grid, and then the all Martin row 5, David Martin and Lee Martin. Andy Kosick is in 11th, TJ Yankee in 12th, Sebastian Day 13th, Bill Woods 14th, LaShawn Young Dilworth in 15th, Stephen Stoddard in 16th, Chris Jennings 17th, Andrew Ball 18th, Kevin Collins in 19th, with Will Warren in 20th. 21st on the grid is Oliver Brooks, Bowie Sewin in 22nd, Justin Woods in 23rd, Kevin Glass in 24th, Orlando Herald's 25th, Steve Hermetz is 26th, Drew Halloran 27th, Emil Toe in 28th, Brian Tidd 29th, and James Helbling in 30th. Our big field of Toyota GR86s continues with Tim Taplin in 31st, Logan Sennhauser in 32nd, Bill Salen 33rd, Cindy Picotes in 34th, John Nicholford 35th was the last driver who set a qualifying time. We still might see Clancy Garvin and John Sirota. So behind the iRacing sedan pace car we go for a warm-up lap, and it is still super, super hot out there, and it's hot in the championship standings. Just a couple of points separate our top drivers after 6 races. Ryan Pucktel on 222 points, just 3 ahead of Jared Collins. Michael Chase in 3rd with Lincoln Fox in 4th. Ryan Carwile there in 5th from Kyle Robertson in 6th. Ian Giebler in 7th, and Michael Polasek, who's been to just 3 races, has won all 3 of them and snuck into the top 10 on 150 points. Aaron Brown and David Martin are just behind him in our top 10, and many of those top 10 drivers in the points feature in the top 10 on the grid here. Michael Polasek, as a reminder, on that pole position. Ryan Pucktel and Jared Collins just 1 spot apart on the grid, just 3 points apart in the championship. They come from 4th and 5th in this race that is going to be incredibly strategic, with a pit stop required on a hot, hot day in Elton, Virginia. There's where the oak tree used to stand, at the apex of the oak tree corner, before time, weather, and a storm felled it, and it had to be removed. But a sapling or an offshoot was planted on the outside of the track, and maybe one day we'll get a return to the oak tree on the inside of the circuit if safety allows. Many track configurations here at VIR. There's the North Circuit, the South Circuit, the Patriot Course, the Grand West and Grand East. This is the traditional full course. We race past the South Paddock and pit lane, but we're using the North Paddock and pit lane.
Ah, that's a beautiful sight, David Haynes.
And in that pit lane, the pit speed is 37 miles an hour by the looks of things.
That sounds exactly right to me, David Haynes. Get that mental math down.
Quick maths, as they say. 60 minutes is on the clock. It begins when the green flag waves after the pace car comes in. And our field of Toyota GR86s head down the front straight at VIR. Michael Polasek in blue and green on the pole position. On his outside, the Salins Toyota of Tim Wire, row 2, Alex Harrison. And championship leader, Jared Collins. The green flag waves, 60 minutes begins, and we roar down towards turn 1 at VIR. A great getaway from Michael Polasek. Jared Collins also trying to make a move around the outside. Ryan Puchtel caught slightly napping as 3 lanes of GR86 coupes break into the hairpin turn 1. Tyres coming up to temperature so quickly in the beating heat of the sun. But this is a perfect getaway from Polasek. Rest of the field cleanly through that opening hairpin. Things tighten a little bit through NASCAR and left hook.
Yeah, it could be a tricky spot to go too wide. Made a little bit easier by the extension to the pavement that's out there now. But still, these drivers will have to be careful as they do the left and the right and the left again through the lower S's.
The walls are close to the track here, and cars often overlap and sometimes interlock. And you don't need to fully get side-by-side single file to head up through the climbing S's, but it sure helps if you can form one line. We've got that happening just here behind Andy Kosick in the field. So Andrew Ball and LaShawn Young-Dilworth perhaps there alongside. Heading into the Oak Tree, you go uphill, braking, turning, downshifting through the gears. It's a sequential gearbox for these GR86 Cup cars. And your traction off Oak Tree, so important to line up in the toe on Madison Avenue. Michael Polasek leads by almost a second, but Tim Wire is going to begin closing him down. Top 8 cars all together in a line before a little bit of a group. At 9th place, side by side, David Martin and Lee Martin.
Scary going too wide into roller coaster, but those guys are doing it. Lee Martin's going to have the upper hand on the left-hander before roller coaster, and he makes it work. Gets himself in front of David Martin. Superior Lee, or Superior Martin through that section of the track. We'll have to see what it looks like at the end of the race.
Absolutely. 1 lap completed by your race leader in 2 minutes and 8 seconds. It'll get a little bit quicker when we're not going from the rolling start to the green flag. But already at great pace. There's Polasek, there's Collins up into second after the back straight. Tim Wire back into third, just behind him. Alex Harrison, Ryan Puchtel, Andrew Huggins, Brian Carwell, and Ian Giebler. Top 8 very close. Not hurt by the fact that they are going side by side and making contact in the battle for around about 10th place or so. The woods off the road.
Yeah, Sebastian Day tangled up with them, and we'll get it on the replay here. It's hard to go 3 wide anywhere around this track. Pretty narrow place, and if they get a little bit wrong here, cars get tangled up and nowhere to go once your cars are connected like that. But both of them managed to avoid the wall and carry on.
Yeah, it creates a gap between 10th place and 11th place. So at a track that's very high speed in cars that slipstream a little bit and create some racing packs, we've finally got a little bit of gap emerging between a few. So between 8th and 9th and between 10th and 11th. And that's Yankee going wide, Andy Kosick going up a spot. Andrew Ball in the tennis ball and white livery. But is that teammates working together, Devon?
It does appear to be a little teammate action occurring here. And if we got the right camera angle, you'd be able to see the label on the roof. That's the Odyssey Motorsport team. That seems to be doing a little bit of teammate action on Andrew Ball here. Hard to go too wide through Hogpen. Oh, and you see why. And that's got to be the worst possible outcome for Andrew Ball.
That's a big hit. It's gone straight out to the wall there.
Yeah, it's tricky. You'll see it here because it's 2 lanes down into one. He wasn't clear there. I'm not sure that there was much room for the other driver to move over. But either way, disappointing outcome, especially because in the real world there's no barrier out there. You head straight down to the trees a little bit further.
So that's the first driver to the pit lane is Andrew Ball with damage. I think Steven Stoddard may have started from the pit lane. Not sure, he's a little bit behind the rest of the field, but most of them took that race start. Polasek being closed a little bit by Jared Collins, finding his rhythm, finding the slipstream. Top 10 spacing out a little bit, but closing in between first and second place.
Yeah, I think Collins has to put pressure on Polasek because Polasek's just trying to leave him and has shown the kind of pace that would suggest he can. And if you can be a part of that breakaway, got to be pretty happy just to be able to bring it to Polasek later in the race.
Yeah, this is this long full throttle run towards the roller coaster where Jared Collins will begin to be closing in. He's going about 2 miles an hour faster now with that toe, and that continues for the rest of the way up and down the hills of the back straight. Gets Jared Collins right towards the back of Michael Polasek.
Yeah, no rules against bump drafting on the virtual series here, so these guys will use it to the full effect if it suits them.
Absolutely. So it's about precision and consistency here from Jared Collins because he'll get that speed advantage from the slipstream, but if he makes a little mistake in any of these corners and he loses that, he might expect to see Michael Polasek pull away. This is on board with him. You can see the race modifications made to the GR86 Cup car that iRacing has. Race button box, sequential gearbox, race dash, gigantic fuel cell, soft springs for some reason.
Yeah, they've gotten a little bit more realistic from what I hear on those, but still pretty soft ones compared to what the real Cup drivers report driving. Not seeing them tip over the way we used to.
Polasek's cut the course, he's got to slow down, and in the lower S's he pulls to one side and Jared Collins takes the race lead. It's in fact Michael Polasek who needed to be tidy and consistent because a mistake has cost him about a second, put Jared Collins into the lead, put Michael Polasek right back into the pack that he was starting to pull away from.
That's wild. I'm scrolling back, scrubbing through my replay, trying to see if I can see where he did it. I'm guessing coming out of Hogpen, maybe? Just a little too much?
I think it was perhaps cutting too much of one of the apex curbs, maybe at NASCAR.
Yeah, either way, that's a major mistake from Polasek, and it changes the complexion of this race. What looked like it was going to be a breakaway is now maybe going to be a fuel saver with advantage Jared Collins on the track position here. Collins did have a pretty decent qualifying session. Wasn't quite as fast as Polasek was with his really nice draft supported lap, I will say.
Well, this is a great start to the race then for Jared Collins because he started 5th. On the race start, he beat Alex Harrison to turn 1. He slipstreamed past Tim Wire and made those other moves. Now he's gone past Polasek and into the lead of the race. The fastest driver on track was Ian Giebler in 8th. So our whole top 8 begin to compress. Looks like LaShawn Young-Dilworth and Andy Cosick side by side heading into turn 1. As these teammates are really starting to link up here. I think that's definitely Young-Dilworth and Yankee and maybe Oliver Brooks.
Yeah, I think Oliver Brooks is part of that flock, like he indicated. And all 3 of them are trying their best to make things hard on the other drivers. TJ Yankee holding the inside line here is really causing a problem for Andy Cossack because it's not a part of the track that wants to be too wide, and we see why here.
always a squeeze point going into the lower S's where it feels like it's one line through, and that is the squeeze. So it costs momentum to Kosick and to Brooks. Bowie Suin right behind them. All sorts of momentum and nowhere to go. Side by side, up the climbing S's. Suin gets alongside Kosick. Oh, big cut of the course there.
Yeah, that's a pucker moment for sure. And this is Bowie Suin up the inside still of Kevin Glass now. Bowie Suin in one of the other team cars that we see out there, the Drive Trainer Motorsports guys, rocking their new livery for 2026. And Glass will get a little wrong on the exit of Oak Tree, giving the spot to Suin, who will be in the draft. And things are a little bit calm for a second, maybe. I think Orlando Harrell might have something to say about that before we get to the end of the straightaway here, though. And Harrell decides to keep it in line. If you're at the back of one of these packs, sometimes you have to race with a bit of discretion. What are we seeing here, Haynes?
3 wide is what we're seeing going into the roller coaster. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle for the duration of the ride.
I should have known the Sennhausers would be somewhere around there. Logan Sennhauser holding the outside line through Hogpen and cleanly does it, but you can see the checkup it causes when you go too wide. Steven Hermetz stacks up. Brian Tidd's going to take the inside after both of them gave Helbing a shunt is that a McDowell's themed delivery? It is. Oh boy.
So it is, yes. Black and purple is Logan Sennhauser, one of the Sennhauser brothers, and he's going to try to hold the inside into turn 1. Usually the place to be, and surprisingly, the inside usually gets good traction off of that corner. Behind them, Nickelford's off the road for the second time in as many corners, wide off of Hogpen, and now around at turn 1. I wonder if his tyres are just now absolutely roasted in this temperature, and that looks like understeer setting in for a lot of the drivers the longer we go on.
Yeah, that is the worry when it's a hot one out here. We run a fixed setup in the ChampCar iRacing series just to keep things on an even playing field, and these guys might be suffering if they're not taking care of the tires, because that fixed setup tends to be a little bit safer.
We're almost going to bump draft heading up the S's. They're almost going to bump draft for the race lead. 4 GR86s in 4 GR86 lengths. Collins from Polisek, from Puxel, from Harrison. And there's Michael Polisek pushing Jared Collins along, but Alex Harrison pushing Ryan Puxel up towards the race leaders. Just behind them sits Andrew Huggins in 5th. And Tim Wyer might have been getting the same assistance from Ryan Carwile. How about that? Linking up on Madison Avenue, setting land speed records.
Yeah, Tim Wyer clocked 130 coming down the back straight, nearly 2 mile an hour faster than the rest of the guys in the lead pack there. And you wouldn't think that
in just 2.5 seconds for the race lead across the start finish line now.
To say, you wouldn't think Andrew Huggins' Ozempic sponsored car would be casting that big of a wake, but it was apparently enough to suck Tim Wyer right up to the back of that pack.
Yeah, so after spreading out a little bit in the opening laps, the top 8 are all right back together again. This is that extra pavement that you so love through left hook into NASCAR.
It took a lot of teeth out of the corner. I wonder if they're taking the light off the barn there and blinded you at night.
One of those good tracks that you and I and producer Derby have all been to and can talk about with at least a little bit of experience.
Yeah, certainly the spiritual home of HJBC, I'd say.
The geometric average of our experience. Through Oak Tree goes our whole top 8 again. Do you think the bumpers are going to get used this time?
We'll see. I think the bigger question is if they're used square or side by side.
Well, this is looking backwards from the race leader at Polisek, just getting a little bit closer over the crest where the water tower is. You go downhill and then the track pitches back up again in the braking zone into the roller coaster. The tyre bundle gets a little bit closer to the racing surface than it used to be in years previous. So much grip on the exit of Hog Pen as the road comes back up to meet you and the suspension compresses and all of the weight ends up on the wheels just as you're turning and accelerating onto the front straight. You can always take more speed there than you think, but there's a couple of corners where you can take less speed than you think here, like perhaps into the oak tree. So it's another lap led for Jared Collins. Polasek now sitting in second, Pucktel in third. This top 8 in a bit of a holding pattern with 15 minutes complete. David Martin and Lee Martin completing our top 10. They've swapped that place a couple of times, but as the battling has gone on for 11th, 12th and those other positions, it has let the two Martins get further away from the rest of the field. Sebastian Day, Sean Young, Dilworth 11th and 12th. Yankee and Brooks together 13th and 14th. Behind them, Bowie Sewin, Andy Cossack, Kevin Glass and Orlando Herald.
That's a pass for position by Sebastian Day going into turn number 1 there. He'd been following Sean Young Dilworth for a couple corners and finally made the move. Sebastian Day, the leading Canadian in the race. Where's the leading Australian in the race, Ames?
You know, previous times we've had drivers whose iRacing flag was Antarctica, and I then claimed them via way of the Australian Antarctic territory. Or if it was Christmas Island, that's an Australian territory. We had drivers with the flag of Norfolk Island before, again, Australian territory. But we don't seem to have anyone today with a national identity I can lay any claim to.
Oh, they're claiming all sorts of territory out on the track today. That was John Sirota making his way around Will Warren and Stephen Hermetz, and all the Canadians were getting involved in something there at the top of the S's. Let's watch it back.
Was there maybe someone with a slowdown? We've seen drivers having to serve slowdowns in that section of the track.
It's yeah, that's a heck of a place to serve a slowdown. Helbling has had, in that McDowell cards, had a few moments on the track, and that was another one through the S's. We got a couple cars on the pit lane, looks like. Are these scheduled?
Well, it's Harrison and Huggins, and I believe those two gentlemen know each other well enough, so this is looking tactical.
Yeah. Stops. Clean, on the money.
Fuel goes quickly into these cars as well, so you got to be careful. And for both of them, I'm seeing 13 seconds. So now they're going to leave pit lane together. With that, they're going to be behind Logan Sennhauser.
And this isn't the clear track you were dreaming of if you're those two. At least some of the battling is behind you. But they're going to have to pick their way through what has shown itself to be a pretty rambunctious mid-pack at this point in the race, as they take the longer of their two stints in the second half.
They must have thought the rest of that top 8 were really holding back if they thought that pitting earlier than them would get them an advantage. Between Day and
Bowie Sewin there.
Sewin, there was some contact down at turn 1.
Ooh, yeah. And that led
Yankee,
to Yankee.
sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say Yankee facing the wrong way, yeah. So, as I said, a fairly rambunctious mid-pack is going to keep our leaders on their toes as they're coming through.
So from where Alex Harrison and Andrew Huggins pitted, it creates a bit of a gap in that top 8. Collins, Polasek and Pucktel now just a tiny bit further away from Tim Wire. It's got Ryan Carwile behind and Ian Giebler. This is the home track for some of these drivers. Got to imagine Ryan Carwile is gonna claim that status with the livery that he's running. I believe it's Virginia Tech. We've been over this a couple of times and I'm still none the wiser.
Yeah, he's got the VT logo on there. That's how I know. The bird on the front couldn't tell you a thing about it. But yeah, it does also put a little bit of pressure on these guys, because I know that Polisek's favorite thing to do is sit in second place and fuel save through the middle of the race, and in this phase of the race in particular. And if those two stopped and put some pace, we see Carwile go a little bit wide here, and that's going to be a slowdown and a slow line. But it does put a little bit of pressure on this lead pack to keep the pace up, lest those two are able to perform a bit of an undercut if there's too much fuel saving going on.
So that was Carwile just getting a bit wide through the right-handers into the lower S's and then cutting part of the track. Something that may have happened for some other drivers before, and it costs you some time initially and then it costs you some later because you've cut the course. And so Carwile's still giving up a little bit of that until about now. Between the pit stops and a mistake like that, what was an inseparable top 8 begins to fan out just a tiny bit.
Tim Wire had the second fastest lap qualifying, but needs a little bit of draft help at this phase of the race, I'd say. And it's going to be tough to get from, what's that, 2.5 seconds, 1.5 seconds back from the lead. He's going to have to use all of his hot dog power to get down that straightaway and get back up to the rear bumper. Our producer would like us to inform you all that it is a Hokie on the hood of the Virginia Tech vehicle. I'll let you inspect the hood as it comes by this time to see if you agree with his assessment that it is in fact a Hokie.
I'm simply not in a position to disagree on matters like this.
You'll see Carwile's coming here. Around about 6th place. Half second back Ian Giebler right now. Having a quiet race, all things considered. It's the kind of race you like to have sometimes, just a quiet one. Save all the drama for the last lap of the race when you make a sweet pass. These two have no time for waiting though, as we watch the aforementioned Alex Harrison and Andrew Huggins picking their way past TJ Yankee.
Yep, they've already passed Logan Sennhauser, and if they're going to keep up with what the leaders are doing, they got to do a little more of this.
Yeah, last time by was quick. Got to wonder if that overtake will slow him down though.
Good news is they ought to be able to bump draft each other a little bit if they're on similar pace. That's going to be their aim. Next car up the road for them is Emil Toe.
Yeah, another one of those Odyssey Motorsport cars. I always appreciated having guys come past me when I was a mid-pack racer on iRacing, because I could learn a little bit from them, learn the secrets. There are plenty of secrets around here.
Might have given Harrison just a little bit of a bump in the middle of Oak Tree, so that doesn't help them. This is the drivers that they're trying to undercut, trying to lap more quickly than. If they're not, then that early pit stop will be a mistake. Timing line is there, quite a long way down the front straight after the pit exit, where the flag stand is, a 2:05.086 for Jared Collins. You can see everyone's last laps are very similar as they go together in the same groove of the slot car track, whereas it was an 05.4 for Harrison last lap. I'm not sure it'll be much quicker this lap. That undercut early stop not necessarily working for them just yet. Here's where they are a bit further behind.
Gotta try something different if you're running 5th and 6th in the lead group. And different means 206 this time by, unfortunately.
Not the pace that they need. Up the road from them is Bowie Suin in 12th. Kevin Glass just behind him. Andy Cosick, Orlando Herrell, and Bill Woods.
Andy Kosick finding himself in a lot of battles right now in this race, pulling off to the side. I wonder if he's got that slowdown we've seen a few guys worrying about, or if he's just taking a defensive line into the lower S's. I don't see a slowdown on the timing screen, so I think that was just defense.
Comes into Oak Tree with Kevin Glass sniffing around. I've asked him about Bear Pope, and the team name is much older than the Pope being a Bears fan.
Ooh. So you're saying he's a prophet?
I'm saying he might be the next Pope.
Bill Wood's making a move up the inside here, just off the shot. He was looking at Orlando Harrell just behind. And then we got, who's this in the pit lane?
Ryan Carwile and Ian Giebler. So Carwile from 6th place, Giebler from just behind him. Well, you don't get a pit stall in that section. So paddock access, and where your pit stall is has been overshot by Ian Giebler. Perhaps he was distracted by what Carwile was doing.
Yeah, that's a little tough spot to qualify in with no lines painted there. Huggins and Harrison are pushing the heck out of each other down the straight this time, to the point they almost got loose, and they'll come out too wide. Harrison, oh, the door's closed, and a little bit of contact. They'll get away unscathed. So Huggins and Harrison narrowly make that work. And
long stop. We didn't get a good enough look at Ian Giebler's pit entry, but if you cut the green and yellow paint on pit entry here, it's a penalty. It's far more strictly enforced than some other circuits. It's one of those VIR things you've got to know, that they're very protective of their yellow and green paint.
Yeah, I think that your instincts are correct on that one. He clipped just a little bit of it from what I can see, and that'll put a damper on his race day.
The paint is sacred. Here comes the top 3, expecting a lot more pit stops, I imagine. It seems like the window has kind of begun. There's the pit entry. You've got to get in the lane rather than cut across that paint.
2 wheels is enough to do it. Last time by, Ryan Puckdell was fastest with a 2:04.8. And this time Jared Collins is fastest with a 2:04.8. No draft necessary. So still really good pace out of these guys despite the temperature. Not seeing any real drop off in the tires. We worried about that.
Reckon they got hot very quickly and they've just sat as hot. Bowie Suin is in. Race leader up the S's, past the villas to the top of the hill, and then you brake, turn in, dive down through South Bend there, the bottom of the hill, and then back up into Oak Tree, one of the places on the track here where the walls are pretty close. For about half of the lap, they're so far off the boundaries of the race circuit, you're not worried about ever hitting them. And then in just a couple of places, they sneak in a little bit closer, like at Oak Tree, or now at the roller coaster where they used to be set a little bit further back.
Need to petition iRacing to get a little bit of that dirt technology, dirt racing technology applied to the outsides of curbs like that, so you can get some of the really big whoops that you do when guys spend a lot of time over the curbs.
Through the hog pen, approaching the halfway point of the race. How tight do we stay to drivers right on the exit of the corner? Our top three are going to carry on, and I think based on their pace, that's the correct move. The point of comparison is Alex Harrison, Andrew Huggins, and Ryan Carwile now linked up together here.
Tim Wire will hop in the lane from 4th place, but we'll watch Huggins and Co. That's Wire. You see him trundling down the lane. We'll watch Huggins and Co. See if they're going to be able to make this overtake as well. A few other cars hitting the lane. That's Bill Woods, Justin Woods. Salen's car is rolling as Alex Harrison crosses the start-finish line. And all three of them look like they're going to beat Tim Wire down into the first turn.
So it actually could be a little bit closer than we think, because everyone who's been just behind the leaders, as pitted, has come out behind Harrison and Huggins. The C's keep parting as drivers in front of them pit, so the worry with pitting early is always losing your track position and finding traffic, which they haven't been so bad with.
This is a track that tends to spread the drivers out. You don't get the spectacular guardrail hits that you do at the Nürburgring, but with all the runoff, someone's going to test it. And has Harrison got a flag? Yeah, he's got that slowdown.
Yeah, he does. So it's cutting one of the curbs there in the lower S's, cutting the track. He's been called in for.
He's going to have to give that back quick here. Just does.
No stops for our leaders yet. And they're within about half a second. Collins from Polasek from Pucktel managing this pace, managing this gap for the moment.
They drove past Steve Hermetz, Bill Salen in the pit lane that time. So kind of interesting to me, just the really staggered pit window we're seeing today. Normally everyone kind of stacks it all up to the end, but just not seeing it.
Group of leaders starting to catch some traffic of cars that have pitted when our top three haven't yet. Andrew Ball and Will Warren have made their stops, and they're the next cars up the road.
Yeah, hoping to make these overtakes quick if you're our leaders. Oak Tree on the exit, Oak Tree, not such a bad spot. And it looks like that's where they'll catch him. Oh, maybe not. They might have to contend with Andrew here through Hogpen, which is a tough spot to do it. The difference between a line that just nails that corner and one that's 0.5% off is pretty big.
Depending on how quickly they catch him, it might tempt our top three to pit now. They're probably getting to a point where they can't go much further than this anyway.
Ooh.
There's the line you've got to mind. Was that within bounds for Jared Collins? Michael Polasek and Ryan Pucktel were too close to be able to follow him in, because they would have gone across the paint. So we'll watch the stop from Jared Collins. It was close, and he left it late.
He tagged the white. I don't know if he tagged the yellow. I'll know in about 10 seconds.
Double Martins in behind. David and Lee, Sebastian Day also in. Jared Collins' stop is done and away, so no problems for Jared Collins.
Safe. And we'll see where he comes out relative to that battle pack. I don't see them. Huggins, Harrison, and Co are just crossing the line. Well behind Jared Collins.
The pit exit, they all steam past Sebastian Day, but he'll be just behind Tim Wire and Ryan Carwile and this group right here. You're left with your top 4 yet to stop, 6th and 7th yet to stop. Most of the field have made their pit stops now. 26 minutes to go in the 60-minute race at VIR. Logan Sennhauser, is he flying solo? No Cameron Sennhauser?
Yeah, I don't see him tonight. He was talking in the warm-up that the brother wasn't going to be there. Polisek's coming down the pit lane. We're watching a few cars on the lane. Sennhauser, Helbling. Polisek's having to make a pass on the back straight. Brian Tidd, before he presumably tries to make a pit stop this time.
Polisek's left Pucktel behind a little bit now that we've had the pit stop from Jared Collins, and they've come past a couple of lapped cars here as well that seems to have favoured Polisek or maybe disadvantaged Pucktel. And the drivers they've got to compare themselves to is this group here: Huggins, Harrison, Carwile, Wire. Polisek and Pucktel are in from the lead of the race.
Down the backstretch, we were seeing Huggins overtaking Orlando Harrell. And we know that, well, we would expect that our leaders will come out about 8 seconds up the road where Jared Collins is. And so Jared Collins is just hitting the entry of the pit lane here. He's in the blue Kool-Aid car, watching a couple of the team cars, Oliver Brooks and LaShawn Dilworth, as they hit the lane. And Ryan Pucktel and Michael Polisek are rolling, and Jared Collins is coming in hot.
And still a long run from that pit exit to turn 1, and slotting in between the two looks like Jared Collins. Michael Polisek leading the race, but hasn't been able to get rid of Jared Collins or Ryan Pucktel. Our top 3 have 7 seconds on 4th place. Andrew Huggins, that earlier stop from Huggins and Harrison, not quite working out. It seems like our battle for the win at the moment lies between Michael Polisek, Jared Collins and Ryan Pucktel.
That makes sense. You heard any of those names before, David Haynes?
Only as the top 3 in the championship and frequently the podium.
Yeah, the usual crowd tends to filter to the top, and now there is a little bit of a delta on the fuel levels in these cars. So I trust all these guys to have done their math. You know, they count with their fingers and their toes real good. But it will be interesting to see if anyone's fuel saving and when they're fuel saving, with how short some of these stops were relative to the rest of the field. Because all of them had stops that were shorter than the average, I'd say. If the average was about 13.5, they were all shorter than that.
You may even say that Michael Polisek, Ryan Pucktel and Jared Collins were the podium of the last race at Lime Rock Park.
You could. Yeah, and they're doing a good job of getting themselves eligible for the Best Be Here prize draws, as well as the overall points, just by showing up and racing competitively every week.
But can you guess which 3 drivers were on the podium the race before that at Sebring?
At Sebring? Or were we at Lime Rock?
Well, I just said Lime Rock.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I have my head all over sorts. It was those 3. No. Was it those 3?
Yes, it was. So we're currently looking at least 3 races in a row of Polisek, Collins and Pucktel as the podium, barring calamity and counting chickens before they have hatched. Three form drivers in a series this size. It's not a 3 driver race. There's 37 cars out there, and they have been the best in every phase of this race so far.
Yep. We're watching the second group of them. Huggins, Harrison, Carwell, and Wire, who are respectively putting in some pretty quick lap times themselves. Some might argue that they were faster than leaders. Who's this?
Ian Giebler and TJ Yankee.
Yeah. And hearing some apologies over the radio. I think there was a little misjudgment there. Spaces that weren't spaces. Oh, and another drama going into turn one. Just got out of the corner of my eye. Andrew Ball getting all kinds of loose, and John Nicholford having to take evasive action. If this was a real race, I'd say there's an oil slick. Unfortunately, I think there just was a little bit less track than expected. Andrew Ball was squeezed off by John Nicholford there. Or maybe the other way around.
Going three wide and not a complete understanding of where everyone was going into the corner, it seems. Top three through turn one. Michael Polasek now with the chance to lead some laps. Jared Collins having done most of it the early goings, and Ryan Pucktel sits right behind them.
Now, 20 minutes to go, and the top three that's going to decide it. And I'm not sure where I want to be if I'm in this lead pack, you know? The Kool-Aid car, always potential to come crashing through. But Polasek is just so fast. It's really hard to live behind him, because one little slip up and you might find yourself, 7/10 back, and then you're fighting for it. But you see how deep Polasek got into Oak Tree there, even if he made a mistake coming out of the top of the hill. I don't know. It's going to be a tough uphill battle for Ryan and Jared, and not just on the back straight. Polasek is locked in right now. Just watching the lines. All three of them are, but
about to see the lap time, because the fastest lap of the race is a 2:04.2, and that was a 2:04.7 from Polasek, and you can see everyone else still right on his tail in this leading group of three. They're pulling away from Huggins, Harrison, Carwile, and Wire as they go through turn one now. David Martin seems to have had a slightly better pit stop than Lee Martin, and he's now broken away from him in 8th. Those two were inseparable for the longest time. The final car inside the top 10 is LaShawn Young Dilworth in 10th. Battle is on in 11th between Oliver Brooks, Kevin Collins, Bowie Suin, and Bill Woods.
Yeah, they've separated and then come back together and then separated again. Not sure everyone is where you'd expect them to be based on pace, so we'll see if this reorganizes itself here. Oliver Brooks having a good race for himself, it must be said, leading this pack. Up 10 spots since the start.
That's the part of the track where they need to mind their track limits just a little bit. I think Jared Collins is playing a patient game right here.
Yeah, he seems very content to just live in the slipstream, in the wheel tracks of the car ahead. Now, there is a little pack of 4 up on the horizon there. And I'm not sure I'd want to be the first guy through there, but I'm also not sure I'd want to be the second guy through there. So it'll be interesting to see how they navigate this little clutch of traffic here.
Would you say a four-way battle for 30th place between Will Warren, Drew Halloran, Steve Hermetz, and Bill Salen?
Bill Salen's doing his part, making sure that Salen's car gets on the broadcast. And, and so is Stephen Hermetz, parking that HKS car sideways. So we'll see it here. Dives at the inside at left hook. And one touch. And then I think a misjudgment on the rejoin, or on the 2 guys getting in line again. And Salen's now pulled over to the side. I don't think he was at fault in that.
He's got a problem elsewhere as the leaders came through.
Oh, well, that will cause some issues. Oh, and there's a funny graphical error occurring on the pit lane. His car is just shooting dirt out the side of it, which is probably accurate for what you'd expect in the real world in the same scenario.
Does split up the top 3 a little bit. Not what Jared Collins needed. Wasn't sure what everyone was doing as they came through the lower S's. Just typically single file. So Ryan Puckdall's up in a 2nd place. Doesn't look like Jared Collins has much damage, but he needs to push right now.
Yeah, well, and that won't be the last bit of lap traffic that we see. Hopefully it's the last eventful bit like that.
Yeah, so it's Bill Salen with the heavy damage. Steve Hermetz, I think, cut the course and didn't serve the slowdown and got a drive-through penalty for that. So he now drives through pit lane and goes to 33rd. And our top 3 head up the S's. Jared Collins pushing as hard as he possibly can to catch the slipstream of Ryan Puckdall, who sits right behind Michael Polasek, the race leader at the moment. Make or break in this lap and the next for Jared Collins if he can stay with the lead.
Yeah, if you're Puckdall trying to break the draft, Collins matters a lot here, because that is 1st and 2nd place in the points championship right now. But we know Polasek is coming with 3 race wins and 3 races under his belt, and a few drop weeks being counted right now. 1 second between them, and that's just about enough to keep that draft away.
This is the next part of the track where Jared Collins hopes he can close in. The 2 longest straights being that back straight Madison Avenue and the front stretch here. If you're flat out through the upper S's, you can slipstream a little bit there. Deja vu as Bill Salen rejoins just next to the top 3.
Collins doing everything he can to get a sniff of that draft. I think he might just be there now.
Well, he was the fastest car on track last lap with a 2:04.3, only 1/10 away from the fastest lap of the race. So he's giving his all at the moment.
Yeah, and the three of them are really putting down some smoking fast laps, honestly, relative to the rest of the field. It's a few other cars running in the 205s in that second pack, but otherwise these guys are the class of the field, as you'd expect.
Inseparable, this next group as well. Huggins and Harrison. Ryan Carwile still just behind them. Tim Wire still just behind him.
Yeah, just about 10 seconds off the lead. So, barring more drama, they will likely be battling for position amongst themselves at the end of this one. Something poetic about an Ozempic car being chased down by a Cracker Barrel car.
Where's our Chick-fil-A car? Was that David Martin?
It is. Oh, man. Eighth place for him.
A new fastest lap of the race for Jared Collins. And with 9 minutes left, we think it'll be 5 more laps. And it's anyone's game, and it surely becomes gloves off in a lap or two here in this battle for the race lead and for the championship points.
It is probably some good fortune that Collins had maybe the most fuel of all of them. If he was going to be the one who got ejected out of the main group. You do have to wonder, not sure how close this was to the line in terms of going over or under a lap versus projections.
More contact on the front straight as Logan Sennhauser, John Sirota and Ian Giebler go 3 wide into turn 1. Trying to sneak up the inside goes Kevin Glass. TJ Yankee tries to cross over from the outside to the inside. Sirota from Glass, from Giebler, from Sennhauser, from Yankee now.
Yeah, that was scary looking going into turn 1. They're all pointed the right way. Great run there from Kevin Glass, but I'm not sure there's anywhere to go with it. Sure enough, there isn't. And the track just drops away there. Logan Sennhauser does nice to stay on the outside through the lower S's. Takes a spot from TJ Yankee and takes the draft critically as they head into the upper S's.
Yeah, up the hill they all go. Sirota coming off the best from all of these, and dropping a little bit wide was TJ Yankee. About 7 minutes on the clock when the race leaders crossed the start-finish line. The number crunching is very easy for more laps to go, with lap times that are just over 2 minutes. And our top 3 neatly fitting within one shot everywhere they go.
And Collins, after getting right to the rear bumper, Puckdell has dropped back a little bit and then sucked up through the S's. So not sure what that's about. I think the other math you got to be doing if you're these guys is, when are we catching Andrew? A lapper up ahead, Brian and John. There's 3 lapped cars just up the road there. Can you use one of them to your advantage?
Yeah, 27th, 28th, and 29th place, Brian Tidd, John Nicholford, and Andrew Ball just up there. Here goes Ryan Pucktel out of the slipstream to look for the race lead. alongside Michael Polisek going into the roller coaster and trying to go round the outside. He keeps his nose in there, but you need to be clear before the hog pen. Absolutely side by side with the race win in mind. They bang doors. Puchtel was on the wrong side of the road, runs a little bit wide. Jared Collins is now going to move up back into second place with 5 minutes left. Buchtel's had to go. Michael Polisek has fended him off.
That was well held by Ryan Puchtel. Hard to make anything work on Polisek any day, and hard to hold it when you get tagged like that through hog pen. It looked clean to me, but I only saw it in real time like the rest of you.
Ryan Carwile has moved ahead of Alex Harrison. They've just worked their way past a little bit of traffic there as well. Tim Wire still in 7th place, but Harrison dropping back, and other drivers moving forward here.
Yeah, Carwile got that done in the lower S's. Oh, and a big wreck on the screen there. Who's that? That's Sebastian Day. Ended up in the outside barrier, and that car goes straight to the pit lane after that. That's tough. There had been some battling between him and Oliver Brooks, and it did look to me like there was a little bit more yikes, as we're watching more fighting here. Looked to me like there's a little bit of netcode involved there. Oliver Brooks will give up a spot to Bill Woods after trying to take it into one. But no shortage of battling in the bottom half of the field.
Oh, the front. Polisek and Collins. Here goes Jared Collins looking to take the race lead back. He's going to do very similar to what Ryan Puchtel tried. Left-hand side of the road for the roller coaster. Try to go around, but there's a crash in front of them. Smoke in the air. Jared Collins tries to keep his nose in here, but again, you don't want to be the outside of the hog pen, I don't think. Michael Polisek placing himself perfectly to try to keep this race lead. Onto the front straight. They're going to battle. This is what happened in front of the leaders. Andrew Ball catching Will Warren and Brian Tidd, and those two come together in the roller coaster.
3 wide into 1.
Michael Polisek holds on again. Jared Collins and Ryan Puchtel right behind him. They keep having a go, and it's just 2 laps to go.
Ryan Carwile's made the move stick into 1 on the inside of Andrew Huggins. Huggins trying to make the move back in NASCAR here.
Two laps to go, and it's red rag to a bull. Everyone who's been patient, managing their tyres, keeping their car clean, maybe running to a fuel number in some places, sees now is the opportunity to stake your claim on positions on the podium, on points in the standings that could be oh so important come the end of the season. Michael Polisek needs to keep banking wins. Collins and Puchtel need to stop him if they're going to keep their points lead in this championship. Off of Oak Tree and onto Madison Avenue, and once again, when it's full throttle, it's slipstreaming time.
Some of the lap traffic cleared itself out last time by. This time they'll have just Andrew Ball ahead as they come to the white flag. Colin's going to peek out, but I don't think there's a spot there. And so they both tried the move into roller coaster. Polisek was the last late breakers. Carwile defending now as Huggins dives up the outside roller coaster.
Yeah, Huggins is now going to be the next to try this, remain side by side, and this is what you need. You need to get clear before the hog pen. So that works out well for Andrew Huggins, and then Harrison dives in. It's Carwile maybe got a little bit of a problem here. A minute left, and the white flag at the start-finish line. There's 0.3 of a second between our podium drivers. Michael Polisek needs to defend for his life. Jared Collins is staking his chances to going around the outside of turn 1, crosses back to tight on the exit. How many options do you have left to try to make a move on this final lap?
Collins is going to try every single one, I think.
He's thinking about a couple of little options like NASCAR and left hook, and then he drops back in behind. I think it's going to be all about the exit of the oak tree on this final lap, but it's complicated because 3 into 1 doesn't go. If Jared Collins makes a move for the race lead that doesn't work, Ryan Puchtel gets an opportunity. And there is ball just in front of them to complicate matters coming up the S's. Nose to tail for Polasek and Collins. Again, Collins just showing his nose here, there, and everywhere. A tight line from Polasek going into the oak tree. Exit is critical here onto the final straight of the final lap at VIR. Collins is half a car length back and beginning to gain, but Michael Polasek gets a little bit of a slipstream off the lap car. Then he gives the headlight flash a 2, because here is the top 3 coming. Looks like ball slowing down on the right-hand side. Not necessarily what Polasek wants. Jared Collins puts his nose into that gap. He's going to go for the other side this time. He's too far back going into the right-hander at the crest of the hill of the roller coaster. Polasek flashing his headlights like mad. He doesn't want anything in between him and the checkered flag, but unfortunately, he's going to get it. So he checks them up going into the hog pen, slams the throttle on the exit, and it's going to be a slipstreaming race to the checkered flag. It's a long way down the front stretch here. Collins has got momentum. Eventually he'll look to pull out of the slipstream, but I think it'll come too late. And there's the race. For Michael Polasek, it's 4 wins in a row. Jared Collins and Ryan Puchtel joining him on the podium again. And the total margin between the top 3, just 0.3 of a second after an hour of racing.
Huggins, Harrison, Carwile, and Tim Wire crossed the line. They were interspersed by John Nicholford and Brian Tidd as they were lapping them as they came to the start-finish line and through Hogpen. David Martin crosses the line in 8th place. Lee Martin in 9th. LaShawn Dilworth, after being basically absent from our coverage in the second half of the race, looks like he's going to have a very quiet finish in 10th place, gaining 6 positions on the way to the line. This is followed by Oliver Brooks and Orlando Harrell. Oliver Brooks exiting the final corner. Another good result for that Odyssey Racing team. Orlando Harrell in the gray car, 421, followed by Bowie Sewin coming to the line for the Drive Trainer Motorsports guys. Kevin Collins going to cross the line next in 14th place with Justin Woods. Andy Kosick and Justin Woods just behind. Bill Woods is going to come to the line next. Emil Toe crosses in 18th. We got Ian Giebler and Kevin Glass, 19th and 20th. John Sirota keeps the clean, up 16 positions. Is going to finish in 21st. Logan Senhauser in 22nd. James Helbling, 23rd. Tim Taplin in 24th. Wraps up our finishes for today. It was an exciting little show out there, Haynes. They were keeping us active on the cameras.
Yeah, another wild but competitive race. 2 cars left on the lead lap, it seems, to take the checkered flag. Oh no, we got Andrew Ball, I think, who either stayed on the lead lap or went down, but it was close. It's Helbling. So here's 34 cars see the end of the race as Michael Polasek takes another win. Jared Collins and Ryan Puchtel joining him on the podium. Andrew Huggins leading Alex Harrison, Ryan Carwile and Tim Wire in the next group, with David Martin in 8th, Lee Martin in 9th, LaShawn Young Dilworth in 10th, Oliver Brooks, Orlando Harrell, Bowie Sewin, Kevin Collins, Justin Woods, Andy Kosick, Bill Woods, Emil Toe, Ian Giebler and Kevin Glass. 21st was John Sirota, then Logan Senhauser, James Helbling, Tim Taplin and Andrew Ball. John Nicholford in 26th from Brian Tidd, Will Warren, Cindy Pickett and Drew Halloran. Steve Hemetz in 31st, Bill Sale in 32nd, Sebastian Day retiring late but completing 26 laps for 33rd place. TJ Yankee 1 lap less than that in 34th. Just 15 laps completed for Chris Jennings, 5 laps for Stephen Stoddard, and Clancy Garvin didn't take the start of the race. That gives us 35 drivers who are one step closer to being in the draw as their classified finishers at VIR. The whole gang's here. It's the podium again. They're the podium crew and they know where to find us. So we'll get to Ryan Puxel. 3rd place. Podium is a very, very familiar trio between you, Polasek, and Jared Collins of late.
Yeah, this was actually a pretty good race, especially towards the end there. The 3 wide in the turn 1 was exciting. But yeah, I had fun with that one.
Tell us about the car, the track, the conditions, everything today.
Well, it was hot. So yeah, just fortunately, fuel saving the first stint, saved a little bit of tires towards the end. I did take a front left in the pits. But yeah, still seemed to be pretty good.
Well done. It remains very tight in the championship, but Polasek gets another win over you guys. What are you looking forward to in the back half of the season?
Just more of the same, really. It's been pretty close racing with us. And we're all kind of up for the championship as of right now, but I think we all know who's going to win it.
Wow, a defeatist attitude with 5 races to go. I'm looking at these standings now, and it says Jared Collins 265 points, Ryan Puchtel 264. It's always so close between you guys.
Yeah, it's same with last season too. We've kind of been trading races. I'll finish ahead of him one race, and he's ahead of me another race. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
We'll see you next time. Well done.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Second place, Jared Collins, is with Devin Peters.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing, buddy? It looked like for a moment that all was lost as you kind of fell off the back in that little snafu towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I was pretty nervous I was going to lose it. I noticed I was still within less than a second, so I knew if I just put some clean laps together, I would hold on. But I was definitely checking with the spotter to make sure I didn't have any front end damage. Apologies to Bill. I obviously didn't mean to tag him like that, but it was kind of one of those just wrong place, wrong time type deals for both of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got him the camera time he needed for International Hot Dog Day, so that worked out, and you managed to close the gap back up, and at the end put a lot of pressure on Polasek.
Yeah, I thought I would have a chance. I honestly, throughout the last 5 laps, the whole time, even into the last corner, I thought I'd have it. Especially, I thought he was going to catch the lap traffic at the exact wrong time, and it looked like he did. I thought I could carry some momentum and carry it down the backstretch, and he just planted his foot and honestly didn't lose nearly as much momentum as I thought he would, and got a little bit of a draft, and I was done at that point. But I was pretty happy. I thought I could maybe hold on to it and pass him, but it was still a really fun race nonetheless.
I was remarking up in the booth that you showed a lot of restraint with the Kool-Aid paint job, hardly using that bumper at all.
I know. I just got to channel my inner, Kool-Aid man and go through the brick wall. That was a lot of fun. That's most, I think, argy-bargy we've had in a while, at least that I can remember up front. There was definitely a little bit of contact, but yeah, not Kool-Aid man running through the brick wall.
Well, you starting the second half of the season here, and Polasek's been on a bit of a roll. Where's the next stop going to be for you to stop this guy?
I mean, it has to be GR86 or the MX-5s. I mean, being realistic, I don't have a prayer. I think against either Polsek or Ryan in the TCR. They're both, a full level above me in that car. Especially with the draft in GR86 and MX5, I think I've been able to stick with them. So it's got to be one of the GR86 or MX5 Cup races.
Well, we'll see what you got when it comes to Mount Panorama in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It should. I think it'll be just as exciting as this race was. There's some pretty long straights, and hopefully we can get some more, 3 wide going towards the end of it again.
Here's hoping. Great race tonight, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Devin, how about you get our race winner?
Oh, gladly. We got Michael Polisek here, and once again, challenges from Puckdell and Collins, but once again, you're able to hold them off.
Yeah, that was a really fun race. Quite stressful, but the race had a lot of twists and turns to it. From trying to break away and using Tim as a buffer to try and get that 2-second advantage, so I could just run away from the field. Unfortunately, Jared got by too quickly, so after that I had to change tactics and just resort to fuel saving. Unfortunately, on the in lap, Ryan and I got held up a little bit by a lapped car, but I think the gap would have still been just so small that we all would have converged on each other at the end. And from there, it was just a game of chess to figure out exactly where you want to be at the end of the race, and I guess I'm fortunate enough that I chose correctly.
Well, and it looked like some masterful defense on display there. What's the trick? How does a guy stop such harsh chargers from getting by you?
A lot of the track leading up to Oak Tree is pretty cut and dry. Just on turn 1, you defend the inside, and pretty much everywhere else. Once you get down the back straight, you can really win from either line. It just depends on how risky you want to play it. I generally prefer the left-hand side just because you get the better run out of roller coaster theoretically, and then you also get the preferred line going to hog pen. Fortunately, when I was defending from the right, because I wasn't expecting Ryan and Jared to send it that early, I was expecting to send it with maybe like 2 to go. I was able to sort of force the 2 wide there and force them to give me space through there. But on the right, if you really outbrake yourself going into there and you can clear the car on the left, then you could potentially win it there. But it's very risky and very dangerous to do. So really, it's a matter of what you feel comfortable with and just executing on that strategy.
Well, it was quality stuff from up here, and it worked out for you. 4 races in to your season and 4 races won. Are we going for the clean sweep here?
We'll see. I mean, Bathurst is probably going to be even more intense than this because the straights are going to be really long. So expect us to be going 3 wide everywhere on the last lap. It's going to be crazy.
I can't wait to see it, and we'll see you and the rest in just a few weeks here.
See you then. Thank you.
Well, Haynes, that was Mike Balsek.
Yeah, the scene is set after round 7 at VIR. 4 wins in a row for Michael Polisek. Jared Collins takes the championship lead by 1 point from Ryan Puckdell, as both of them look in their mirrors and see a charging Michael Polisek. Next time we go racing, it's at Mount Panorama Bathurst for the ChampCar iRacing series. It'll be in the Toyota GR86 again, and it'll be in just 2 weeks' time with a practice round in between. So July 29th for Mount Panorama Bathurst in the Toyota GR86. It's also never too late to join the ChampCar iRacing series. If you want to be part of our iRacing community, if you want to get to know some of your fellow endurance racers, if you want to get a little bit of practice in for some of the great tracks that the ChampCar Endurance Series visits, you can join us on the iRacing League. You can find the Discord as well, all the information and the schedule there, which we'll get to just on our way out here as well, because a lot of great tracks like Mid-Ohio, Road America, Circuit of the Americas, Daytona, and Laguna Seca to come in the remainder of our season. There it is. Next time, July 29, Mount Panorama Bathurst will be live in the same places, and we do hope you'll join us then. David Haynes with Devin Peters and Michael Derby as HJBC brings you live coverage of the ChampCar iRacing series.